Yes, we make mistakes. We should learn from those mistakes, erase them.
That's the biggest mistake of all. Never getting back on the horse and trying again.
Dwelling on what you fucked up on is the quickest way for the next thing not to work.
Rise and shine, it's Espresso time. What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. My one word is believe, and I believe in you. I believe you have an amazing gift inside you that I want to see exploded onto the world. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee and sip on today's message, Rewrite Your Mistakes. Over to you, Gaur Gopal Das.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso, keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
When you write, you will most certainly end up making mistakes. What's truly great is that right behind you is attached an eraser, and you can actually correct that mistake and once again write the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, even in our lives we make so many mistakes. And what's amazing is God has given us the opportunity, the chance to erase them, to correct them, and to rewrite our stories. We all make mistakes. I remember I once went for a program and a gentleman came to me and said, Prabhuji, I'm your fan. I said, why? He said, your talks are really inspiring, especially the jokes. I said, what about the points, man? He said, the points are good, but the jokes are great. I said to him, come on, all the jokes are only meant to really pass on the message and drive home the point. And just as we were talking, a little boy came running and I said, your son, right? He said, yeah. And just following the boy came a lady. I said, your daughter, right? And the man turned blue. And the lady was like all smiles, a ear-to-ear smile, because she was not his daughter. She was actually his wife. The guy turned to his wife and said, प्रभु जी को ज़्यादा seriously नहीं लेने का, उनको jokes मारने का बहुत आदत है. Oh my God, I realized God had made a big mistake there by asking if it was his daughter when she was actually his wife. We all make mistakes. Now, anyone who comes to me with people around, I never ask whether this is your son or daughter or wife or father or mother. I just ask, can you kindly introduce me to everyone, please? Simple, isn't it? Yes, we make mistakes. We should learn from those mistakes, erase them, correct them, and never repeat them.
So I'm not sure that you can completely erase your past mistakes, but I definitely believe that you can learn from them and try never to do them again. I think the erasing part comes in two forms. One, just for yourself, like you erase the mistake, you erase that pattern in yourself so that you never do it again. And in terms of other people that it might have impacted, I think the best you can do is apologize. You can, be vulnerable and say, hey, I made a mistake here. And then at that point, it's up to them if they're going to forgive you or not after you've done everything that you can to try to make it right. I think mistakes are going to happen all the time. I think mistakes are part of growth. I think if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you study the people who you love and look up to. They're the ones who made the most mistakes. The more you make mistakes, the more you're going to eventually win. I've made so many mistakes on my YouTube channel, some of them more egregious than others. I think my biggest one was probably, I did a top 10 video on Kid Cudi and I called him Kid Cudi, and I said that his debut single was Night and Day instead of Day and Night.
In 2009, his debut single Night and Day reached the top 5 of the Billboard charts. He's Kid Cudi, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
And I just got roasted. I got roasted by his super fans in the comments. And listen, I deserve it. I messed up. I said his name wrong. I messed up the name of his first song. And it feels bad, man. It feels really bad. But I made a process to try to make it better for future ones. And I still make some mistakes every now and then in mispronouncing somebody's name, even though I've tried. to really refine that down. But net, I think I'm doing a much better job than I used to. And it's because I made that crazy mistake with Kid Cudi that I will never forget how to say his name because of that one mistake that I made. And so I think you'll see this path for everybody. Anybody you look up to, any of the success stories that you call your heroes, whether they're a spiritual leader, an entrepreneur, an academic, whoever it is that you look up to, examine their success. They made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and then they learned from it. And they said, this is not final. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that you won't eventually succeed, which is where most people fall down. They make a mistake, and then they say, well, I can never do this, and they never try again. That's the biggest mistake of all. Never getting back on the horse and trying again. And so I would strongly recommend to you, if you are on that path, if you've made a mistake and now you're having a hard time believing in yourself, to look at the stories of your heroes and see how many times they failed, especially in the early days of trying to launch whatever it was that they were trying to launch. Nobody is an instant overnight success. There's a lot of failure along that path. And at least for me, studying those success stories, the early days, the 0 to 1 million path, gave me the motivation and drive to say, these people failed so many times that if I fail, I still have a chance. And if I increase the amount of times that I'm failing, micro failures, not massive, take out a huge mortgage on the house kind of failures, lots of small failures, and you learn from them and pour it into yourself to get better every single time. If you do that, I guarantee you'll be successful. Now I've got some special bonus clips for you, but before that, it's the commitment of the day. You watch this video, don't just watch another video and not take action. I want to know, what are you committing to do in your life or in your business as a result of watching this video? Leave it down in the comments below. I'm really curious to find out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe in you. I hope you continue to believe in yourself and whatever your one word is. Much love. I'll see you again tomorrow morning for another shot of espresso, and enjoy the bonus clips.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso, keep me going.
So many people come up to me and say, Gary, it's so hard. I look at their Instagram and they're not posting any of their content with hashtags, which is a by accident way to pick up exposure in a world where they have no money. When you have no money, when I took over my dad's business, it did $3 million a year, 10% gross profit, $300,000 before expenses. My first year marketing budget was $14,000. When you have no money, and I built that business from a $3 to a $60 million business in 5 years, I had to make every penny perfect. So I was right about email marketing in '96, and because of that, I had 91% open rates. When Google AdWords came out, the day it came out, I paid 5 cents a click for words before anybody bid me up, and I was super right, and that worked.
How much is that luck versus preparation, and do you ever get anything wrong? What do you do when you make a mistake?
I get everything wrong. It's just that I can't recall it because once it's wrong, I'm moving on to the next thing. Like dwelling on what you fucked up on is the quickest way for the next thing not to work. Right?
Yeah.
So I think I do everything. I mean, you know this. This is a fun thing to say. Some people in the back know this. I was a breakout YouTube star in the first year, 2006. I decided that the right strategy was to leave YouTube completely and go to Vidler because Vidler offered me equity in their company, and I've left an enormous amount of attention. I deviated from my intention thesis to do short-term economics and equity in a company, and I lost. When D-Rock finally came in my life 2 years ago and we started to try to build up my YouTube for the first time, I was sitting on 40,000 followers in a world where I could have had millions if I just stayed the course. So I make mistakes all the time. I'm reorging VaynerMedia every day because it's based on a mistake I made the prior year. I just don't give a fuck about my mistakes. Everybody else cares about your mistakes. If you're worried about your own mistakes, you've already lost.
So many hours of TV that you're putting out. Is there ever a moment where you've thought, "Ooh, I regret that," because you're not sort of carefully thinking through sort of exactly how you're coming across on TV?
Do I regret it? I think there's always sort of regrets. What I never do is sit there and ponder as if we've made a mistake. All I want to do is find a solution. I call it as I see it. Sometimes that's incorrect, but at the end of the day, that's what you're going to get because I don't sit there and pretend. So. Do I sit there and waste time? No, life's too short.
So let me give you the one-word secret to happiness. One word. This is all you need to be happy.
It's the most important word ever.
If you had to think of one word that's most important to you or that sums you up or that would be kind of like a little beacon.
Hey,
Hey Believe Nation, if you want to know what the most important one word is for Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Oprah Winfrey, will.i.am, and Howard Schultz, I have a very special secret video for you. Check the description for details.